This is the bonnet from my 1989 Talbot Express Camper van, and as you can see, it's the next panel that I need to stop the rust on. So it's going to get a bath just like the front panel. First though, I'm going to clean off all the loose rust with the wire wheel on the grinder.
As you can see, it was crunchy like a breakfast cereal. There's no point trying to dissolve things that will just fall off. I carefully removed the prestigious Talbot badge. I topped up my trough with 25 litres of Evapo-Rust. I then immersed the front edge of the bonnet in that to soak for a couple of nights actually. I turned it around to do the other edge. First I rinsed it off outside. I was being careful of the pointy edges on this so as not to pierce the plastic. I didn't want to come back the next day and find all the liquid on the ground. Put in the drums again, just filled up with water just to raise the level as much as possible. Left that for 24 hours. I took that out again and rinsed it. Cleaned off the first area I immersed just a little bit with the wire wheel because there'd been a little bit of flash rusting while the other end was immersed. So I'm finding it best to give these a coat of epoxy primer while I'm working on them so they're not just rusting away in between, and it also just helps to see the areas that really need repair, and it makes the panels look a bit less of a hopeless case, to be honest, when you're working on it. I sprayed in as much paint as I could into the voids in the box sections, and then covered over any exposed metal. Then I marked out the first area I want to cut. I decided to tackle the hardest bit first to get that out of the way, and that's this corner, because you've got quite a few folds in that inner structure, so it'll be a little bit complex. I'm going to fix the inside first and then make a little repair to the outer skin. The two pieces of metal are held together by these flanges, so I've just cut a few nicks in it and folded it back, and I'm pulling out the remains of the piece that's actually rusted away. Tidying up the edges. I'm just prizing out that piece because I'm going to try and put my repair section in under the flange. A couple more little bits to trim off. So, made a paper template of what needed to go in. This was actually a little bit bigger than an A4, so I had to tape two bits of paper together. Back to my old bonnet, and found an area just big enough to cut out. cleaned off the edges of what's remaining, and that's going to be where the welds are. Back to my 2 pieces of angle iron and put some folds in the repair section. I get it as close as I can in the vise and then usually try it and squeeze it into place from there. So I just kind of trial fitted that there and kind of worked out what I needed to do for the corner. And I could see what way the pieces were overlapping and then could just trim out some little bits to make some flaps so that it would form the corner. That bit had to bend 2 ways. Cut in here to kind of expand out that bit. It was almost like a puzzle the way this was fitting. Under on both sides, and it nearly held itself in place. A few taps with the hammer. And then I could tack it in. Forming it a little bit as I went. Another few little bits to trim to get this corner right. Beat that in over the small hole and welded it with 2 little strips. It's just a piece where it had been overlapping. I now marked where I wanted to cut the ends of the old flanges. And I also had a little bit of excess on the piece I'd put in. So I cut away the rusty edges of the outer skin. I'd left plenty of the old pieces there just to give a guide to the shape I needed, but some of those bits were pretty worn thin from rust, so I then cut them out. So now just trimming off that excess on the inner repair and cleaned off more paint around where I'm going to weld. This is my chance to get a bit of paint on the back of what I'd already welded in. And make up another paper template. I'm kind of tracing the edge on this. A simpler piece to do than the structural repair. So I hammered over the flange, just getting it past 90 degrees, and I'd be able to form it the rest of the way in place. Bit of weld through primer on the back, and then slide it on. Tacked it into place. And then hammered over the flange. Joined up the rest of my welds and put in a couple on the new flange to the old flange, and then cleaned it all back with the flat rule.
Bit of warping because the metal is so thin there, but it'll tidy up really well with a bit of filler, and at least there's a great foundation to build on.